teleprompter. In fact, we had this made just a little while ago. Kamala Harris on 2 campaign events, Wednesday in Wisconsin, then Michigan. I'm going to play this clip, and I think you might notice something similar between the 2 speeches.
I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. So hear me, Detroit, when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. And when we fight, we win.
I could watch that again and again and again. My jaw was on the floor the first time I saw that this morning.
Seems like a similar speech, no matter what state she's going to.
Yeah.
Mert, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are and I have experience with giving speeches on stage because I did stand-up comedy before. And if you know anything about having an act, you want to say the same thing over and over because you know not every crowd has heard your messaging before. So what she's doing is a traditional technique. You perfect a speech and you go out there and you share it with everybody. You don't continuously change up your phrasing, your punchlines. I like that punchline that she just used. I know your type. That's a good line for her. I can see that across T-shirts being so. I can see people putting all these taglines she's using and taking them. It's like "Make America Great Again." How often do we hear Trump say that? It's about branding. So what she's doing is very smart. So you guys don't understand it. Maybe you guys don't give speeches, but if you give speech or you do stand-up comedy or you have some kind of act where you have to speak over and over again to various audiences, you have to say the same thing consistently because you don't want to get up on stage and be flustered. And you don't want to have to continuously come up with new material.
The free world should be able to get up on stage and not be flustered. I mean,
exactly.
I don't know about that.
I think that's a great point, though, Mert, also, and I like how you said, because it's kind of like, it's like your act, and you do your act wherever you go.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting, Tom, because, you know, the act, so to speak, it just shows a lack of authenticity here, because sure, whoever's at that rally is like, wow, you know, the heart of America runs through our town, and then she goes to the next town. And it kind of almost feels like, you know, like someone is kind of cheating on you. It's like, wait, you say that to like all of your girlfriends. You say the same thing.
It's an old tactic, right? It's an old tactic, and it's a stump speech. I've traveled on these presidential campaigns. She's not the only person to do it. The problem here is that they are so terrified of allowing her to get off the script in any way, shape, or form. JL Partners, about a week or so ago, they did a survey and they put together a word cloud of the words that people, particularly independent voters, use to describe Kamala Harris. And the bigger the word in the word cloud, that's the bigger the perception. And the biggest, by far, word in the word cloud was incompetent. And those are the swing voters, and that's what they are up against. So you're seeing everything that they are doing in terms of trying to control her and her messaging and her access to try to do something about making her look more competent, not less.
But this all boils down to swing state voters. I'm talking about it a little bit in another segment, Caroline. To Tom's point, I think they're terrified if she goes off script and almost has a Joe Biden debate-like moment where they blow the whole thing. The whole lid gets blown off the entire campaign. I think that potentially could happen.
Well, the New Yorker said that she's running a very generic campaign, and I think that's an extremely accurate word, but it's actually further than that. It's canned, it's contained, and that's because if she does let loose at all, she's going to reveal just how radical her policies really are. And, you know, that supposedly funny retort from her speech when she was touting her criminal justice reform, I noticed that she neglected to mention how she later wanted to defund the police. So I think that's the real tragedy of this style of speaking, is that while she's speaking to two different audiences and they don't necessarily know that they've been cheated of original content, they're not getting the fact that she has flip-flopped her policy positions over the last couple months with no conversion story. We have no explanation for why she has reversed positions. And I think that's a disservice to the American people that we don't know.
And the Trump campaign really needs to start doing some serious counter-programming. If she's going to continue to do, remember, Biden didn't really campaign. She's obviously going to campaign. She has the ability to do it. And they have to counter-program, just like George W. Bush did with John Kerry. They had people dressed up as flip-flops follow him around the country. They would do events outside of his events saying, well, he lied to you about this and he flip-flopped about that. You know, they need to actually start doing things like this to try and push back against her narrative.
Can I say something?
Hey, hang on. I'm sorry. One second. I just want to get to this, Merton. I'll ask you here. What about this debate that's coming up on September 10th, the first between Harris and Trump? I mean, how do you think she will fare there?
I think she's going to fare great because, like she's doing with these speeches, she's going to be prepared for what Trump throws at her. And I'm assuming that they've done their due diligence and they know every little talking point that Trump has. And Trump is smart to have what he's going to throw at her about her record and about her race and all that stuff. We already know what Trump is going to say. So this is why I don't get what you guys are saying. In college, they have a speech class. Everybody has to take a speech class in college. Since when did being prepared and being organized and having a consistent message, since when has that become a bad thing? I don't get this. You people have been spoiled by Trump because Trump can get on stage and speak off the top of his head. But now we're trying to say that being prepared and well-spoken and having something written down is a good thing. I mean, it's a bad thing. Now, I'm not saying Trump is bad for what he does, but I'm saying for all of history.
Message discipline is good.
Ben, I want to let you jump in here, but how important is it, though, you get off script, you do Q&A so you can be a vetted candidate? She just jumped into the arena here a couple of days ago. I think this is a grave disservice to the American people.
No one's going to begrudge a stump speech. The issue is, does she have anything other than a stump speech? And she was exposed in the 2020 Democrat primary, including in the debates, that she had nothing. Or, to Carolyn's point, is she the radical leftist that she always was? Or does the flip-flopping suggest she is contentless and will do or say anything to usurp power? And at the end of the day, she hasn't had to answer the question, was she lying then with her positions, or is she lying now about her positions? And how does she defend a Biden-Harris agenda that is universally very unpopular in this country? Going on the debate stage, you're going to be able to throw out some canned lines, and you can stick to your script, but you can only stick to your script so much.
Depends how the debate's
when
run.
Your record comes under attack, and she hasn't been tested there yet.
And again, a reminder that September 10th debate on ABC News. So we'll see. Got to leave it there. Mert Roberts, Tom Basile, Ben Weingarten, thanks so much for joining us. And Caroline Downey, don't go too far because we're going to have you back in a bit.
Coming up, crime and safety. They are huge issues for Americans.